one of the things patients tell us is that when they come to the end of their life, they want to give their experience meaning, they want to tell their story. And there's something very important about passing on your experience, passing on your story, your history to other people. And I think one of the most important things for people when they die is to be remembered in some way. And I think one of the real benefits of the Brit School project, and this has been working with 16, 17-year-olds, is seeing two quite opposing groups of the community come together. You know, when we first set it up, the group of elderly patients which we used didn't want to meet teenagers. They thought they shot each other, they thought they stabbed each other, they took drugs, all of this kind of image they had. And the teenagers didn't want to meet these elderly people because they were like, well, what are we going to talk to people who are dying about? And they came together and instinctively grabbed each other's attention because really there was something they knew they could both tell each other and both learn from each other.
How much is that one? 30,000? Maybe we'll come back.
The stigma of a hospice is old people dying, and I thought it'd be a bit depressing, and I didn't really understand what we could give to them or they could give to us.
Suddenly we discovered that the Brit School were there, and I thought, crikey, what on earth are we going to do? You know, I mean, it was going to be a bit difficult. And when I first saw them, you know, they were the real sort of pink cult with hairdos like this, and, you know, the real sort that you see standing on a corner normally.
When we first arrived here, the atmosphere was a bit on edge, no one knew what to expect. But when we started talking to them, we really saw the benefits of us talking and them listening, and see how much just asking their name and about their lives could make them so happy.
They introduced themselves, and each one went to one person, and, you know, they got to know me and I got to know them. So we had a link between each other. And then he was going to get it into a play format so that everything that you did during a life which stands out would be portrayed in this little playlet, I would call it.
I used to take her down to Hatton Gardens. That's where you find your Jewish jewellery businesses, selling Dutch diamonds that they've imported, making them into rings down in the workshops. They had a value of up to £3 grand. Well, my wife, she loved them, and consequently, she had more than she had fingers.
One lady said that she liked Chicago, so we went away and we made a dance routine to Chicago. And another lady said she liked the rumba, so we went away and we talked to some dancers that we knew, and they taught us the rumba, and the whole company learnt that, and we come back and we're going to show it to them.
That's how far we've got with our dancing.
I met a lady called Connie, and I've been talking to her for a few weeks, and I was talking to her today. She was telling us about how her husband proposed, and he literally got up to go to the bar in the pub. He said, "Oh, what do you want for drink?" And he said, "Oh, and by the way, will you marry me?" And she said, "I'll get me a ring and I'll think about it." And I thought it was a really funny story and really sweet. And she also said, she said to him, she warned him before she said yes, no nookie behind the coal sheds, it's in the pub or nowhere. And when she told me and my friend Liberty, we couldn't stop laughing because it was just such a lovely, like, heartfelt, happy story. And like, it's something that we'll never forget being told, and like, obviously something that Connie will never forget herself.
Connie, that's naughty!
There's a lovely bit in this play where a man talks about, had a memory about when he was fishing in Ireland as a boy. And by us giving him that play, he himself can remember that relaxing time for him. And I think we're making a better society if someone says, actually, I will listen to your story. I won't just listen to your story, I'll give it back to you. And then you can see that your story, your life, had worth and impact and meaning. And that's really powerful. This play should go to anyone involved in funding palliative care. It should go to anyone who hasn't got such a strong opinion about teenagers or feels positive about young people. If they should be in the same room at the same time. So anyone who feels that they can use their newspaper to be disrespectful about teenagers, they should come to this project. Anyone who feels that hospice care is just too difficult to understand or come to terms with, well, it isn't, you just have to face it.
There's a lot of patients coming to the end of their life don't have the vocabulary to talk about what's happening to them. You know, so to find a language to talk about dying, to talk about leaving the people you've lived with all of your life and the people you've loved is not something people are used to doing. So you know, what our doctors and nurses know is that our artists can actually give something else, give another context, give another way for these patients perhaps to express, to explore, experience all of these things in a way that's not necessarily in everyday language.
We're doing quite a lot of work at the moment with adults with dementia, going into different residential settings. So today I'm going to go to the Alzheimer's Cafe, which is an organisation sponsored by the Alzheimer's Society, and this is a recent relationship that's sprung up between St Christopher's and the Alzheimer's Society. We just have a big music session together. My purpose is to try and provide a space where they can be creative and they can listen to what other people are doing and be listened to by other people and have some fun.
I'm Teresa, this is my mum Isabella, and I'm a full-time carer, and she has dementia. She's had it for about the last 4 years now, and she enjoys coming to the cafe. We've been coming here for 2 years now, and she enjoys it, although she doesn't remember the next day, or probably in the evening that she's been. You know, but while she's here, she does enjoy it. Music therapy, I think, is great, because when you look at them, when you look at everybody that's banging a drum or tambourine, you know, they've all got a smile on their face, and you know that they, you know, it lifts their spirits. She was smiling and banging, and what do I do with it? And you show her what you do, and they're actually doing things, you know, although it's strange really, because you have to, you know, keep telling them what to do, but once you've showed them and they're listening to the music, they just bang along there, you know, quite contently, you know, without you telling them what to do. Did you enjoy playing your music instruments? Yeah, you enjoyed it.
So I always think if you're a patient coming to the end of your life or coming into hospital, you know, you'd be expecting a doctor with a stethoscope or a nurse bringing you some drugs, but when an artist comes along with a sort of guitar or a palette of paint, you know, you're thinking, my God, what's happening to me? I think, you know, it's unusual for patients who coming into this environment, they're not expecting to see artists. Well, all of the arts, if you like, give people a different way of keeping relationships alive at the end of their life, and in particular, and very importantly, in terms of them, you know, coming out of their isolation, back into a world, back into life, if you like, at a time when a lot of people think they're just withdrawing into themselves.